see. Do we have anybody? Can anybody hear me here? Hello, the Beast 22. Can you hear me? Can you see me and can you hear me when I'm talking? So what, my audio is not very loud? Is that what you're saying? Malik, you can't hear me? All right, I'm working on it. Okay, how about now? Can you hear me now? Ayub, the Beast, Malik, am I coming through? Too loud? Okay, I'll put the volume down. That's better? You can hear me okay? Hey, there's Coach Fatmizada. Good to have you. It's great. Okay, so the sound is okay and you can see the video. It's no worries. All right, well, we're a few minutes. Hamid, you can't hear me? I've got Fatima Zara saying she can hear me, and I've got Hamid saying he can't hear me. So, can you tell me in the comments how the volume is, if you can hear me all right, if it's coming through clearly? All right, so you want me to talk louder? Okay, let me check the settings here. Okay. How's this volume? Is that better? This is my second live. I did another one a while ago, but I'm still working out the technical side, as you can probably tell. But we'll get there, get it sorted out. Still low. Okay, what if I have my headphones out? Can you hear me now? Okay, so I'm talking, I'm testing it out. We're, better now. Okay. Hamid, you still can't hear me? The microphone isn't good for Hamid. Fatima Zara, Malik, you guys can hear me okay? It's working for you? What about you, Ayub? Is it better now? Can you hear me okay? Okay, all right. Good, so we have some volume. Thanks for helping me work out the glitches, work out some of the technical details. And yeah, let's get into it. So it's 1 minute early. I've got 10:29, but let's get started. So hello, Morocco. Welcome to this live stream with Morocco Treasure. In this video, I'm going to be sharing some of the best ideas from this book, The Millionaire Fastlane. I'm going to apply them as best I can to life here in Morocco. So if you're a Moroccan that dreams of building significant wealth, then stay tuned. I'm going to cover the 5 commandments of wealth that the author shares. So stick around, make sure you don't miss that. If you haven't seen me before, you haven't met me before, my name's Ryan. I'm originally from Canada, but I live in Casablanca now. And I've started Morocco Treasure because I want to help you get wisdom for a successful life. So money is an important part of that. Money isn't everything, but it is a tool that can help us build the life that we desire. So in this video, I'm going to be sharing some images and some slides, but you don't have to worry about taking notes or screenshots. You can download the whole presentation, all the slides that I'm putting up on the screen, completely free. They're going to be available at moroccotreasure.com/books. So if that's something you would like, if that's something you're interested in, then you can grab that, okay? Now I've still got Hamid saying there's no voice, but can everybody else hear me? Ayub, Rita, Fatima Zara, you guys can hear me okay? No issues on the volume? Let me know in the comments. Hey, man, I'm glad you can be here. Can you hear me all right? Let me know, because some people are saying there's issues with the volume, so I want to hear that. Okay, now let's get started. I'll start with the good news. The good news is that get rich quick, it is actually possible. Okay, now there's a lot of get rich quick scams out there. There's a lot of people that will try and deceive you to get your money, but usually it comes off as get rich easy. The impression that you get is that you won't have to work hard, or it won't take a lot of sacrifice and effort, or that it's simple and that anyone could do it. These are often scams. So get rich quick is possible, but get rich easy almost never works. And we'll discuss why when we get into the 5 commandments of wealth. So we all know stories of young millionaires. There's many of them that are very famous. You know, you can think about professional athletes. In the picture here, I've got Ronaldo. You can think of musicians and artists. There's Taylor Swift in one of her mansions. Actors, in that bottom picture, there's Zac Efron. with a nice fancy car. There's a young poker player who won millions of dollars. I mean, these people, they got rich quick. They have won the genetic lottery. And often in these cases, they have something. They have some skill. They are extremely rare, and millions of people are interested in what they can do. So the way that they play sports, or the way that they act, or the way that they appear, the way that they look, gives them something that millions of people are interested in, and they can get rich quick. Now, for most of us, we didn't win the genetic lottery. We aren't world-class athletes or musicians or actors or models. But don't fret, don't worry, there is hope for the rest of us, okay? Probably if you're watching this video, you're not among the best in the world at something that millions of people care about. So for us, if you dream of getting rich young, the solution is, drum roll, entrepreneurship. The solution is entrepreneurship. And we can think of examples of people who have started businesses that impacted millions of people and resulted in massive wealth for people even at a young age. You can think of a classic example like Steve Jobs. Even by the age of 25, he was worth over quarter of a billion dollars. He basically, since he was in his 20s, he always had more money than he would ever have time to spend. Or you can think of more recent examples, like I'll throw up a slide here. We've got Mark Zuckerberg from Facebook. You know, he's been worth billions since he was in his 20s. Someone you may know about, the guy in the yellow shirt with the bicycle there, that's Oscar Pierre from Glovo. So if you're living in Casa, Rabat, Tangier, Marrakesh, you've seen these guys riding their bikes around with the white Glovo delivery boxes. The co-founder of Glovo, Oscar Pierre, he's a Spanish guy. He's still in his 20s. He's well on his way to extreme wealth. And on the cover of Forbes there, you have a young Kevin Systrom, one of the co-founders of Instagram. So when he was in his 20s, Instagram was sold to Facebook for $1 billion, and Kevin came out with about 400 million of that. All right, now let's not forget about the ladies. Okay, here's a picture of some of the ladies. We've got in the right there behind the YouTube sign, that's Susan Wojcicki. She is currently the CEO of YouTube. But you know how you hear that tech companies often start in garages? You know, you hear about Apple and Google beginning in a garage. Google started in Susan's garage. She was 30 at the time, well on her way to be worth $500 million. Then we've got Sarah Blakely on the cover of Inc. She started a company called Spanx, which makes women's undergarments. When she was 41, she became a billionaire in just 6 years. From the time she started that company, it absolutely exploded. And then in the bottom, you have the former CEO of Yahoo, Marissa Mayer. She was Google's first female engineer. She was employee number 20 at Google. She went on to become the CEO of Yahoo. She's well worth over $600 million. So entrepreneurship is the most likely path to becoming a young millionaire. Getting rich quick is possible. It's not easy. There's a big difference between those two statements. You know, keep in mind, these men and women that I showed, they didn't win the lottery. They weren't just lucky. They worked exceptionally hard and they sacrificed a lot. Yes, they were in the right place at the right time, but they had to hustle and they had to take risks. Wealth is a process. It's not an event. It doesn't just happen overnight. It does take time. Now, my question for you is, what would you do if you were a millionaire? What is the motivation for you? How would your life change if you built a business that was bringing in millions of dirhams every month? If you just had, all this wealth was just flowing into your life. Some people would travel, some people would buy stuff, they'd get a new car, a nice house. Some people would quit their jobs, they'd help their parents, they'd give to associations. Recognize that money is a tool that we can use to help us build the life that we desire, to help us make an impact. Okay? Now, Jim Rohn, who's a famous personal development guru, he said that formal education will make you a living and self-education will make you a fortune. So by watching this video, you are developing yourself. You're investing in your education. You're developing your financial knowledge, and you're helping equip yourself to build a fortune if that's your desire, if that's something that you're pursuing. Or you might just be wanting to develop a small business, a small side hustle, apart from your regular job that can help supplement your income and make some more purchases easier. All right, so let's get into Millionaire Fastlane. Let's get into talking more about this book. More comments about the microphone. Oh, you can only see the first slide? Okay, how's that? Can you see the slide now with the Millionaire Fastlane book? Is that showing up? Let me just type this here. Did the slide change? All right, guys, let me know if the slide changed. I'm going to keep going because you can still hear me and the slides aren't as important. All right, so I need to do an extra click. I didn't think I needed to do that, but I will. Sorry about that, but here we are, Millionaire Fastlane. We're talking about this book. It's written by an American named MJ DeMarco. It's actually written in 2011. So for some books on internet business and things like that, that's a long time that's passed. But I do find that the book is still very relevant. The principles can still be applied and carry on even now. I like also that the author, he practices what he preaches. So he's not just giving a formula but not living it out. He is somebody that built a multi-million-dollar business. He retired in his 30s. So he's following that philosophy or that principle of first do and then teach. He built a business that was providing limousine services. Now, the whole book is a metaphor about traveling on a roadway towards wealth. It's like a financial road trip, okay? And the finish line is financial independence. The finish line is when you have enough passive income flowing into your life to support your lifestyle, the lifestyle that you desire. Okay, so it's not required that you work. You have income coming in passively without you having to work much. Okay, now, the book compares 3 different pathways. So the slide here has 3 of them. It's the sidewalk, it's the slow lane, and it's the fast lane. So I want to go through these one at a time. Now, spoiler alert, okay, the sidewalk leads to poorness. It leads to people that build no financial wealth. The slow lane leads to mediocrity. It leads to average. You can be comfortable, you can be well taken care of, you can take care of your family. A lot of people are traveling the slow lane. It's not something to necessarily, it's not something you need to necessarily discriminate against or say in a negative way. However, if you're somebody who wants to build significant wealth while you're young, it's got to be the fast lane. Okay, that leads to really, really serious wealth. So let's just talk briefly about the sidewalk. Now, the sidewalk describes people with absolutely no financial plan. Okay, these are people who spend all the money they make on stuff. So if you can see that picture there, you've got a businessman kind of chasing after money, going around and around and around the wheel. So their salary comes in and they spend it. New phone, clothes, restaurants, vacations, car, whatever. It's a wheel that continues. They work to get money, then they spend money on stuff, then they go back to work to get more. So it can be described as lifestyle servitude. Now, the sidewalk means you're moving beside the road. You're barely making any progress towards wealth. And you may know people like this. You may know people who have graduated from university, they've worked for several years, and still, even after years, they have no net worth. If you took all the money that they have and all the assets and sold them, it would come out pretty close to zero. They may have nice clothes, they may have a good phone, they may even have bought a car, but they haven't made much progress even after years. People on the sidewalk view time as abundant. They often feel like, I'll worry about that later. I'll get my finances in order, but right now, this thing is important. I want to go on this trip. I want to buy this item. Okay, it's instant gratification, which means when there's a desire, there's a real push to fulfill that desire now, rather than postponing it to the future. Sidewalkers don't really save money. They rely on credit cards. They buy toys to impress people. They tell themselves, I deserve this. I've worked hard. I've earned this. I need this. And though they might look like they're rich, they're often just one paycheck away from serious problems. So basically, sidewalkers, people on the sidewalk, they sacrifice their future in order to enjoy today. They might buy something with credit. They might go into debt, even though it requires making interest payments to enjoy their lifestyle today. Okay, so instant gratification. Now, that's people that are in the sidewalk. We want to move on now to talk about people in the slow lane. People in the slow lane, they kind of do the opposite of the sidewalkers. They often sacrifice today in order to gain a better future. So instead of instant gratification, it's known as delayed gratification. All right, so slow laners are masters of this. And this is a good thing. It is a good thing to be a person who is able to delay gratification. Some of you guys will know Jordan Peterson. He is a fellow Canadian, very well known. His book, 12 Rules for Life, is selling extremely well. My friend Otman, that's in the comments there, who started EnglishBooks.ma, you can find that book on there. The 12 Rules for Life is one of them. But Jordan Peterson said, the successful among us delay gratification and bargain with the future. So it's a choice between what I desire right now or choosing to delay those desires for bigger rewards in the future. Okay, so if you want to be successful in life, you're going to have to learn to sometimes say no to your present desires so that you thank yourself later. We've all experienced this on small scale. You're tired, but there's a good thing you want to watch, but you say, no, I'm not going to watch another episode. And in the morning, I'll be grateful. Right now, I want to watch that, but I know I'll regret it when the alarm goes off bright and early. Or right now, I don't feel like starting on this work project or this school assignment, but when the deadline gets closer, I'll be grateful that I prepared or that I studied, that I didn't procrastinate. So we all know people who are sidewalkers, who spend every cent they get and have no financial plan. But most of us are traveling in the slow lane. Okay, so the belief in the slow lane, the mantra or the philosophy is get good grades, go to a good university, get your degree, and start working for a great company. Start earning a salary and then live below your means, save 10% of your paycheck, invest it in real estate or some other asset like precious metals or stocks. Be careful with your spending. And after 35, 40 years, you can retire and be very comfortable. Okay, now the book points out that there are still risks involved. Even though this feels like the secure plan, you could lose your health, the economy could suffer, the real estate market could crash, investments you put in do have elements of risk. But even if everything goes according to plan, when you are traveling on the slow lane, by the time you get rich, you will be quite old. Okay, it's wealth in a wheelchair, as the author calls it. All right. Now, another Jim Rohn quote is that it's hard to get rich quick, but it's easy to get rich slowly. All you need is a plan and time. All you need to get rich slowly is a plan and time. You just have to develop some solid habits and continue with them. And as time passes, you make safe investments, and 30, 40 years down the road, you will enjoy the miracle of compound interest and you will be quite wealthy. But you'll be older. All right, now, I don't want to discriminate too much against the slow lane because, I've read a lot of books like The Richest Man in Babylon, The Millionaire Next Door, Smart Couples Finish Rich, The Wealthy Barber. These are some classics that help people get on a pathway towards wealth. There's a lot of podcasts that you can listen to. I've got The Mad Fientist, FI for Financial Independence, so Fientist. He's there. I've got Paula Pant. There's blogs like Mr. Money Mustache. There's a lot of information out there. Some of it can be a bit American, but it provides you with the principles that you can apply here in Morocco. Living below your means, saving, investing in safe assets, and you will get rich slowly. But slow laners are restricted. Okay, they're restricted by time. Most slow lane paths to wealth are bound by time. And there's two ways that this happens. Okay, the first way is that their income, their salary is connected to or tied to their time. All right, so you either get paid by the hour or you get paid by the year. You have an annual salary. You're trading your time for money. Most people trade 5 days to get 2 days. Okay, they trade Monday through Friday to be able to have the free time and the resources they need to enjoy Saturday and Sunday. You're selling your freedom of 5 days to get freedom for 2 days. Okay, now this puts you in a really tough position because often if you don't work, you don't get paid. There's limits on how much vacation, how much sick leave, and if you lose your health or if someone in your family needs you to take care of them, or even if your job starts to suck. You have a boss you don't enjoy, or it gets too stressful, or it's repetitive, or it's not challenging enough, you get stuck there. If you don't work, you don't get paid. But the second way that slow laners are really restricted by time is because they need 40 years for the miracle of compound interest to kick into play. For their investments, if they're saving 10% or 20% of their wealth, they're only going to see small rewards in the first 5-10 years. It's really that last 30-40 years that the tail starts to really rise up and they see dramatic results. You can Google Warren Buffett's net worth and you'll see this in play. One of the reasons why he's so wealthy is because he's been in the game for 5 decades. He wasn't that wealthy when he was 40 or 50. It's really been when he's 60, 70 that his wealth has grown exponentially. Okay? For many people, that's fine. For many people, they're very content on that path. They are not looking to drive a Ferrari. They're not looking to buy a yacht. They're content. They're grateful that the life that God has given them. But there are some, and I suspect many that are watching this video, that are ambitious for significant wealth at a young age. Okay, so if you've ever seen an old person driving a really nice car, you may have thought, wow, I want to have a car like that. That's what I want to do. But I don't want to wait until I'm 70. I don't want to wait decades and decades to be able to afford that car. Is there a way that I can shortcut that? Is there a way that I can build significant wealth quickly? And if that's you, if that's the desire you have, then the slow lane financial principles, they're great. You still need to live below your means. It's still good to invest in assets. Those are all great as part of your financial plan, but they can't be the financial plan. You will never reach significant wealth at a young age by depending on compound interest, by working as an employee, by trading your time for money. It's just not possible. We're too limited. So if you want to get rich young, you have to travel in the fast lane. Okay, now just a reminder, as I said, this presentation, if you want to download it, the whole thing will be available at morocctreasure.com/books. Okay, I can see some of the comments there. I love Robert Kiyosaki. Yeah, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, excellent book if you haven't read that already. And I really recommend the next book, which goes quite hand in hand with Millionaire Fastlane, which is Cash Flow Quadrant. It kind of shows that a lot of people who are business owners, they call themselves entrepreneurs, but they're breaking the 5 commandments of wealth that we're going to get to when talking about the fast lane. Okay, they're really purchasing a job, even though they work for themselves. Um, they don't have. They're breaking some of those commandments, which we're about to talk about. Okay, now in the fast lane, there's a big difference between the other two that we've already discussed. The fast lane gets to wealth a whole lot sooner than the slow lane. Okay, now really what takes place is at the beginning, it's a mindset shift. So when you are in the fast lane, it's all about creating lifetime passive income by building business systems. You could either build a business that produces huge amounts of profits each month, or you could build a business that gets sold in a liquidation event for millions of dollars that then goes on to support your lifestyle for the rest of your life. So in the fast lane, you aren't just buying assets. You're not just purchasing stocks or purchasing investment real estate or purchasing precious metals. You're not just buying assets. You're not trading your time for money and then buying assets to grow your wealth. In the fast lane, you are creating assets. The fast lane has to shift from being a consumer to being a producer, producing something of value in the marketplace. And that's a real shift. That's a real shift in the mindset of somebody. Okay, in the fast lane, you don't just depend on one source of income, your job. You create multiple sources of income. You think in terms of getting customers rather than just having one employer. Okay, in the fast lane, you view money as abundant, but time as rare. You don't trade your time for money. You create something that can generate money without you having to give your time. Okay, so to use an example, imagine that it had cost money to come and be part of this live stream. Imagine I had said, all right, it's going to be 100 dirhams if you want to sit in and hear my summary of the book. And let's say 10 people showed up. Well, that would be 1,000 dirhams. And if I talked for 30 minutes, that's 2,000 dirhams an hour. That's pretty good money. Now, even if I could grow that to teach for 40 hours a week, 50 weeks a year, that would be a great salary. It would be a great income. However, I'm still trading time for money. Even though my hourly rate is very high, it still requires me to show up. So if I get a sore throat or I lose my voice or when I go on vacation or if I lose motivation or if I have a technical glitch or the internet drops out at my house, I lose that opportunity to make money. I have to show up. I still have to trade my time for money. Now, this is the case even for doctors, for lawyers, for CEOs. Their hourly rate is extremely high. They're very well paid. They have a huge salary. However, they're still exchanging their time for money. Okay? They needed to give a lot of education and experience to rise up to the level that they are, but also they still need to show up to work. All right? To reach financial independence, it's still going to take decades of work, even as a doctor. Now, if I wanted to shift into the fast lane, doing something like this, instead of me having to show up and present this, I could simply record it. And then I could create a video course, and somebody would have to pay to watch that course. And then I could be selling that course on my website, whether I was asleep or on vacation or working on another project. The difference would be that I created an asset that was there independent of my time. That video could exist and be sold even if I wasn't present physically. Okay, and the same thing happens with a piece of software, with a book, a piece of art, with an algorithm. All of these things are pieces of intellectual property. They are assets that need to be created by a producer, and that can help you get on the fast lane to wealth. All right, so in the fast lane, what you're looking to do is to create value. You need to create something that the marketplace deems as having worth, the marketplace deems as valuable. So you shift into that mindset of a producer. Now, you have to think, how can I solve the world's problems? How can I fix issues that people are dealing with? How can I meet people's needs? Now, think about some of the companies we talked about early on. We looked at Carol Wojcicki's role at Google and at YouTube. How many times have you used Google? How many times have you had an answer to a question and you looked it up on there? How many times have you used Google Maps to find something? Or right now, relying on the YouTube platform to gain information and educate yourself. YouTube is worth billions of dollars because they serve billions of people. Many, many times they've created so much value. Or even something like Instagram. We talked about Kevin Systrom and the fact that he sold it for $400 million, or he received $400 million. Now, how many of us use Instagram? If you looked at your usage over a week, we'd realize, wow, we're actually getting a lot of value from Instagram. Even though I didn't technically have to pay to download it, I am putting a lot of attention there. I'm giving hours. For some people, they're giving an hour a day to scrolling through Instagram. So he's created something that serves millions of people. Okay? Now, this is something the Fastlaner needs to think about. How can I influence millions of people? How can I serve and help millions of people? How can I solve the problems of millions of people? If you want to make millions, you have to impact millions. Okay? That's often the way that these people get on the fast lane and get rich very, very young. So you need to come up with a way to help, to influence, to entertain, to impress millions and millions of people. Your compensation will be directly related to how much value you offer in the marketplace. All right? Now, let's get into the 5 commandments of wealth. This is the most important part of the book. If you want to build a business, if you're convinced, okay, I want to be on the fast lane, I want to be a very wealthy young person, then you're going to have to follow these 5 commandments. You're going to have to build a business that meets every single one in order to really build significant wealth. Now, I'll put up this next one. It's a bit hard to see. If you want, you can Google it on the side. The 5 commandments spell the word sense. C-E-N-T-S. Okay, so if you Google sense, C-E-N-T-S, like centimes, like 100, you'll find some of the infographics that can help you follow along here. But what you've got is you've got control, entry, need, time, and scale. And I want to go through these one by one. Okay, here's another image that can help you picture these things. So you've got control. You see the guy down there holding the puppets, someone's on strings. You've got entry. Okay, so there's a barrier to entry. You see the thief in the right corner. There's need. There's the guy with a big problem. He's carrying a heavy rock. He has a need to be filled. There's time. See all the clocks in the top. And then scale, the ability to grow it on a large scale. And here's one more infographic that can help picture these things. Control, entry, need, somebody's drowning and holding out their hands asking for help, time, and scale. So let's go through these one by one, starting with control. In order to become a millionaire quickly, you must own and control your own business. Okay, I already said you cannot get rich working for someone else unless you're an athlete, a model, a musician. Employees are rarely millionaires, particularly young. You can be very well compensated for being a CEO, for being a professional, a lawyer, etc. But even still, you're on the slow lane. You're trading time for money, and it's going to take years and years and years to build significant wealth. You might be driving a fancy sports car one day, but you're going to be old when you're doing it. Okay? Now, you need to be careful when you are operating in some kind of business that you don't have control. So if you're leveraging other people's brands, technologies, or platforms in order to run your business. For example, I could grow a big online business using YouTube or using Amazon. Um, People used to do it using eBay, other sort of drop shipping type businesses. It can become a huge source of income. However, you're hitchhiking. You're catching a ride in somebody else's car in the fast lane. And there's a risk to that because they're the ones who own that platform. If I violated one of YouTube's guidelines, then I could be kicked off that platform. Or let's imagine I start a business that is generating great revenue, but my source of customers is from Google search. I have a very high SEO ranking and I've got all these customers searching and finding me. Well, a simple change in the algorithm, which is completely out of my control, could dry up my source of customers. Overnight, my business could go from extremely profitable to losing cash. Okay, so I don't have control. Now, in contrast to that, I can bring customers or bring subscribers or bring followers off of the platforms that I'm using and onto my own website or into my own branding. Okay, so people will do this where they'll say, okay, I need your email address over here, and they bring their customers off of the platform in order to have control, in order to be able to communicate directly. Now, this reduces risk. Now, I don't think YouTube's going to kick me off. People don't expect Amazon to change their policies and to remove their affiliate programs. Nobody's hoping that Google's going to change their algorithms, but it sometimes happens. And so this is all about reducing risk by increasing control. Okay? Now, the next one is entry. You may have heard the term barriers to entry. Basically, the idea is the easier something is, the more people will do it. People often come to me for advice about finding a job, and they say, I've given out so many CVs, I've emailed so many companies. And the reason why that's not effective is because it's so easy. I can sit at home and just Google stuff and go on LinkedIn, and I can contact 100 companies directly and send them my CV and spam them before lunch. When there's an ad online and you just have to submit your CV, everybody does it. It's so easy. And so it's very, very difficult to be exceptional because there's no barrier to entry. Okay, so the more people who do it, then the more competition there is. And as supply increases and demand stays steady, guess what happens to prices? Okay, if there's a lot of supply, prices have to go down, okay, along with your profits. So for example, doing what I'm doing right now, there's not a high barrier to entry. I'm using free software. Anybody could do a video like this. It doesn't take a lot of technical ability. I mean, I'm maxed out for my technical ability, but that's not saying much. A lot of other people would have no problem navigating this. So if this was profitable, if there was money in this, then everybody would start doing it. Okay, if there was since there's no barriers to entry, this is not a good business model. All right. There's plenty of access to internet in Morocco, lots of people with laptops. You can stream on your phone. There's a very low barrier to entry. Sometimes a barrier to entry can be financial. All right, I think it'd be an amazing business idea to have a trampoline park in Marrakesh. It gets so hot, tourists are looking for something to do in the air conditioning. These things are super trendy. American Ninja Warrior, all the cities in Europe, North America, they're building these trampoline parks and kids go and adults get into it. And Marrakesh has so many tourists that you definitely get a lot of business there. However, it's going to take millions of dirhams to launch a business like that. And even though it's a great idea, that's a huge barrier to entry. It's difficult to start a business like that. So if you do it, the advantage you have is that very few others will have the resources to follow in your footsteps. They'd have to go out and either have the money or raise the funding. Sometimes a barrier to entry could be legal. It's a lot easier to start a restaurant or a cafe than it is to start a bar. Okay, the government's giving out licenses to sell food or coffee a lot easier than they're giving out licenses to sell alcohol in Morocco. That's very, very difficult to do. Or if you wanted to open up a clinic or a hospital, there's a lot of legal barriers to be allowed to do that. Okay? A barrier to entry might be a qualification. There's certain restrictions on businesses where you have to have a certain level of approved qualifications. So I used to teach at a university, but I had to stop because they required people to have a PhD. That became a barrier to entry for me to work in that industry. A barrier to entry could be technical, some sort of intellectual property, like a secret recipe or an algorithm or a formula. It could be your expertise, it could be your experience. If I thought a great business would be to train people to fly helicopters, well, I not only need the finances to purchase helicopters, I not only need the legal approval to bring people up into the air and to work with the airports, I also need a lot of experience flying a helicopter. So there's huge barriers to entry for a business like that. Okay? Now, if I want to label myself as a photographer or as a personal trainer, there's not a lot of barriers to entry. I can make an Instagram profile in 10 minutes, I can buy some followers, and I can post a whole bunch of pictures, but very difficult to monetize, very difficult to make money. There's too much competition. You have to be exceptional to stand out because it's simple. So in the fast lane, you view challenges, obstacles, difficulties, barriers, you view them as good things. Even though they're hard for you to overcome, you're glad they're there because they keep others from following in your footsteps. Those high barriers to entry protect your business because once you are inside, others can't come or it's difficult for them to follow you. Okay, when you're running a marathon, the last mile is the least crowded. People drop out of the race because it's difficult, it's too long. If anyone on the street can start a business like the one I'm in, I'm violating the commandment of entry and I'm not going to be on the fast lane. Okay, the next one, the third one, so we've got control, we've got entry, and now there's need. You've got to offer value. You have to fulfill a need. Your business has to solve a problem for many, many people. You've got to fix somebody's pain or somebody's emotional desire. Okay? There's got to be a gap. There's got to be something missing in the marketplace. Even if you're doing something that's really good, if people don't need it, then you're not going to be successful. You've got to find something that people want but have trouble getting. Often, businesses start because of somebody's personal pain point. Like there's a big photocopy and print shop in America called Kinko's. And the way the business started is a university student needed some photocopies for a presentation. And when he went to line up, there was a huge lineup. And it was going to take him a long time to make photocopies. And he thought to himself, if I'm having this problem, chances are a lot of others are having this problem too. If I owned a photocopier close to this location, people would come. I could solve their problem. I've already talked about EnglishBooks.ma. The founder, my friend Othman, he's a major reader. He loves to read and he reads 90% personal development books. And most of those books are in English. Now, he was frustrated by the lack of availability of English books in Morocco. The prices were very high. They were often very delayed in arriving after they'd been released in other English-speaking countries. And oftentimes the selection was so limited that the books he was interested in weren't even available in Morocco. And so his own pain point led to him starting a business because if he's looking for English books, chances are a lot of others are as well. Okay? So if you want to start a business that makes millions, you've got to fulfill the commandment of need. A lot of businesses are just passion projects for the owner. There's something the owner really enjoys and is passionate about, and so they think, oh, this will be a great business. I should see if I can do this full time. But it's not really fulfilling needs in the marketplace. Remember, if you want to make millions, you've got to impact millions. So the more value you can give, the more money you will make. The fourth one is time. Okay, your business must be able to separate from your time. We've already discussed this thoroughly. You cannot get rich trading time for money because time is finite. It's a very limited resource. We've only got 24 hours in a day, We've only got 52 weeks in a year, and we've only got about 40 years to work in our career. And so that limitation means if you want to get significantly wealthy in a short amount of time, you've got to build a business that doesn't require you to continuously invest your time. And this was what we talked about with creating assets. The last one, the last commandment is scale. This is about replicating, this is about reproducing or multiplying the value that you offer. So if you've solved a problem by creating an asset, by creating something that people need, can that asset be sent to people around the world in multiple marketplaces? Can it be modified? Can it be reproduced? Can it be duplicated? Can it be translated? So if I start a business that's geographically restricted, okay, something with a physical location where I serve customers face to face, if I do that, it'll be very difficult to scale. Okay, if I want to start a restaurant, or I want to start a print shop or a laundromat or a mechanic shop, it's going to be very difficult to serve millions of people. How could I possibly do that? I might have thousands of customers, but in order to scale it, you have to become a company like Starbucks. You have to build not just a coffee shop, you have to build a brand that can be exported around the world. So when considering which business to start, you've got to think about scale. What's something I could start that will allow me to have millions of customers? Okay, if you think to yourself, if I sell 50 million of anything, if I can sell 50 million of anything, I'll be rich. Okay, it doesn't matter what it is. If you can sell it at that scale, you're going to do very well for yourself. Okay, now, if I created a book, let's say, how to get a job in Morocco, well, that's good because it's a physical asset. Once the book is written, my time is not required, and it can be resold again and again and again. Now, if I choose a book like How to Get a Job in Morocco, it's somewhat geographically defined. Now, if I write it in English, I have a very narrow market, a very narrow niche. But I could scale it by having it translated into French, translated into Arabic. And then what if I just adapted or modified the book, How to Get a Job in Algeria, How to Get a Job in Tunisia, How to Get a Job in Libya, How to Get a Job in Egypt. Okay, it could become a brand. Like you've seen these kinds of brands like, fill in the blank for dummies, Windows for dummies. There's different books like that where they've built a brand and they've scaled it. So the best opportunity the world has ever known to scale a business exists in our day and age, and that's the internet. Okay, now one of the world's great marketers, Seth Godin, he's written numerous books, and he often has been quoted as saying, "We live in an era where anyone with $100 can connect to 2 billion people anytime they want to." All right, so the internet is the most obvious place to build a business that can fulfill these commandments, particularly scale. It allows you to build something where you could reach millions of people around the world. Okay, now let's take a simple example and let's see if we can apply it to these commandments, these 5 commandments of wealth. All right, let's imagine somebody who's a personal trainer at City Club. Okay, they love exercise, they're into working out, they know a lot about diet and nutrition, and this is something they're really passionate about and they're good at, and they work at City Club. Okay, now even if they're exceptional as a personal trainer and they're in high demand, even if all their classes are booked, even if they're able to generate huge money, they're able to make 1,000 dirhams for a 30-minute class or 2,000 dirhams for a 30-minute class. They have high luxury customers. They're making great. Even then, they will not be on the fast lane to wealth because they're still trading time for money. What if they get sick? What if they get injured? What if City Club goes out of business? Okay, they don't have control. City Club is the brand. City Club is the company. This personal trainer is an employee. They don't really have much barrier to entry. Okay, anyone can become a personal trainer. It doesn't take a 4-year degree. You don't have to, go to some expensive school to get a qualification as a personal trainer. Some people call themselves personal trainers with no qualifications. Okay, I don't need to pay thousands of dollars. I don't need to apply to some government office. There's very low barriers to entry. Need? Well, there is demand for personal trainers. People do care about health and fitness. I've noticed a lot of gyms opening up in Morocco. People are more and more focused on their health and their fitness, but it's a saturated market. Being a personal trainer, there's a lot of competition. Okay, so it could easily become commoditized, which means that people select a personal trainer not so much on the brand, but just on the price. Well, this guy, he's going to meet me and work out with me and give me a training plan and advice and coach me and spot for me while I'm lifting weights, and he does it for a third of the price of that guy. So it's not really worth me paying extra for that personal trainer. That's when your business has become commoditized. Time. Being a personal trainer definitely fails the time test. It's still trading time for money. If I don't show up for the classes or the training sessions, I don't get paid. Okay, and scale, again, because of the geographic limitations, I cannot scale without building a brand. All right, now, what's up? Hi there, greetings from Casablanca. Yeah, thanks for writing, mate. One way that a personal trainer could get on the fast lane is to create a video course or build a brand. Some of you will have heard of some of the past trainers who have done this. Okay, you might have heard of Tybo or PX90 or Insanity. These are basically programs that somebody has built, exercise programs or regimes, and instead of having to go and physically work out with somebody, they've created a system that can be followed. They've sold millions of dollars worth of products worldwide. So these are personal trainers who figured out how to separate their business from time so they could scale it. All right. Now, all of this that I'm talking about, it fits in really well with an interview I did with Dr. Samir Ben Maklouf. He's the former CEO of Microsoft and is now the CEO at London Academy. And I asked him to give advice to young people in Morocco. And he really focused on English, technology, and entrepreneurship. Okay, and if you want to get on the fast lane, if you want to be a millionaire while you're young, you've really got to follow these 3 keys to success. Now, the reason why I say English is because it allows you to scale. Okay, if you're limited by language, if you're creating a business that's narrowed down into simply Arabic or French, your market is smaller. Okay, the majority of the world's customers you can communicate with in English. So if you're watching this live stream, I'm saying this to encourage you. You have something that can allow you to access the world's marketplace. And something you create can easily be modified and easily be translated into those smaller markets. But if you want to really jumpstart something, it's a great place to start. The other one is technology. We've talked about using the internet to scale something. And more business is happening through our smartphones. Okay, just this week I purchased tickets for the train, I purchased tickets to see a musical performance, bus tickets, paid LeDec, paid Morocco Telecom. More and more people are purchasing products simply through their smartphone. So digital business is ready to just skyrocket here in Morocco. So that's an opportunity for these entrepreneurs. So if you desire to be a millionaire in your 20s or 30s, these are definitely 3 keys to success. Now, just a reminder, as I shared at the beginning, if you'd like to download this presentation, I'm putting all the slides together, but also putting notes of some of the things that I've covered underneath the slide in the PowerPoint presentation. You can go to moroccotreasure.com/books and send me an email there, and I will email you back with a link where you can download the presentation. If you've got a comment or a question, please continue to comment on the video. I'll do my best to answer or respond to any of those. And the Morocco Treasure community can comment as well. please share this video if there's someone you know that would have wanted to be here at the live stream. It will be available on my YouTube channel. And lastly, don't miss the Habits for Success course that I'm teaching on October 5th here in Casablanca. So if somebody would like to hear more about that, you can find out at moroccotreasure.com/courses. Okay, that is Habits for Success, helping you build a personal plan for your success. Okay, leveraging the power of habits, leveraging these key actions that will lead to results over time. All right, Morocco, thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed that and learned from that. I do recommend this book. Not everybody's willing to put in the time or put in the sacrifices to try to become a millionaire at a very young age. But if that's something that you really want to pursue, if that's something that you really care about, if that's one of your ambitions, then I recommend reading this book. There's also lots of resources online related to this book. Because it's 8 years old, there's great summaries available on YouTube, and blogs have been written about it, lots of infographics. So Google it up, you'll find a lot of great resources. Thanks again, and until next time, get wisdom.